You're watching another Nerd Stalker interview. Okay, we're live. Welcome to another Nerd Stalker interview. Good morning. This is AK Social Greg on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network. Today, I'm again pleased to talk with Nick Brazzi of lynda.com, live from Carpinteria, California, here on Google Plus Hangouts. As you know, lynda.com is a great video resource for your online training needs, and recently opened a video vault which we kind of did last year, and this time we're just gonna interview Nick on one of his passions, which is video, and he'll talk a little bit more about that. So a little bit about Nick. Nick is a staff writer. You said staff producer,
Yeah, staff author.
Author, yeah, at
Yeah.
lynda.com, where he works in partnership with, I guess you'll talk a little bit more about that, but I think, you used to work in partnership with other authors, and I think you're doing maybe something similar, but you could talk a little bit about that, I guess. And, before that, he was a software trainer and instruction designer for Apple, so he knows Apple products, or he loves Apple products really well, so I think he's a great person to have on this segment, which we're going to be talking about is his latest video, Managing a Video Production on an iPad course. So anyway, welcome to Nerd Stalker. Good morning, Nick.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you again. It's been a long time, so I thought we'd catch up. So you want to tell the Nerd Stalker audience a little bit about your new role at lynda.com?
Sure. Yeah, the last time we talked, I was a content producer, which meant I was working with the authors who wrote and present the content on our site. But I've recently transitioned to be a staff author. I'd been authoring my own courses here and there for a while, but now it's my full-time job. I'm one of the voices. Excuse me. I'm one of the voices you'll hear in the library. Developing the content and presenting it to all of our viewers.
So you're in the so I guess you're in those rooms that we see behind you a lot.
Right. This is one of our recording booths, and this is where the magic happens. Whenever you're seeing screen capture, somebody taking you through a piece of software, they're sitting in a little booth like this.
Wow.
Yeah, great little spot, great for sound.
That's pretty cool. So I guess we'll kind of get into this. I mean, it's great that you've kind of transitioned, and it sounds like more of your own content and creative stuff, which I think we talked about last time, and we'll link to that interview as well on this article. That you really love creating content, and
Absolutely.
that's your passion, right?
Yeah, I love, taking technology and translating it for people who don't necessarily understand it or don't have the time to collect all of the resources to give a clear message and just, help people really go straight to the point of what they need to learn how to use something. I love it. That's totally my jam.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great, and I think that we'll get into your latest course here, which is named appropriately, Managing a Video Production on an iPad course. And so why don't we talk a little bit about that and give us an introduction to that, Nick?
Absolutely. I love this course. This is a specifically, personal course to me because, I'm not, by any stretch, I'm not the developer of these apps or anything, but I feel like this is a workflow that I put together. I've been doing some, I've been a producer at Lynda, but also been doing producer and sort of assistant director work for kind of small level web video type stuff. And so I put together this workflow of just planning the entire shoot, which includes collecting storyboards and scripts and building shot lists and building schedules, and building call sheets, making sure all the cast and crew are together on the right time. And during the shoot, making sure we get all of the shots, making sure all of the notes for the editors are recorded. And there's a lot of tasks involved with, whether you're the producer, script supervisor, assistant director, whatever it is, there's somebody responsible for making sure everything happens, everything gets shot. And it's a lot to juggle. And I love this paper-free workflow. I love the idea of I'm on set, I've got an iPad, and I've got all I need. And that's really what this course is about. And it's, there's a handful of apps that help you through that process, and I think I kind of brought them together and showed people at least my workflow for that.
Now is it a combination of apps and Apple iPad native stuff, or maybe you could tell the listeners what they could expect in this video training?
Sure, and I believe that most of this workflow would work on an Android tablet. It's maybe it could have been on a mobile device, but we specifically stuck with iPad for this one. But it's a collection of apps and online services. One of the first things we do in the course is talk about there's not really a file storage system on the iPad. There's no folders to store files. So I start by talking about here's how I use Google Drive and Dropbox as my file storage system. And by the way, a lot of these apps that we'll talk about in the course plug directly into Dropbox or Google Drive. So we start by talking about services, but then we get into specific apps. Apps like Shot Lister or Movie Slate, really apps that are specifically geared towards video production.
I see. So, I mean, have you been thinking about this for a while? Because it sounds like since you've been doing this for a while, you've kind of developed your own personal workflow, as you mentioned earlier. But, I think to take that and explain it to people, I think probably took some work, huh?
Absolutely, and it's funny. It is a course I've been thinking about doing for a while and pitching. And at lynda.com we have content managers who decide which courses are going to happen on our schedule and who the authors are going to be. And there was a moment, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, whenever it was, when we had to juggle and change the schedule and move some courses around, and there was this opening. And I was in that meeting, and my hand just shot up and said, hey guys, if we need to fill a slot, I've got this idea. And just had a few conversations like, yeah, let's do this course. We have an opportunity.
Wow.
So it'd been baking a while, but we had that opportunity pop up.
Wow, that's interesting because you just suddenly, there was that opening and you saw, I mean, something pushed your hand up, obviously, and said, hey, let's go do this, huh?
Yeah, because I've been wanting to do the course.
Yeah, how long did it take you to maybe from the start of maybe conception to where this opening was to try to pull this all together?
Yeah, I think that's a great question and a little bit more difficult to answer because at Lynda we've got several, any individual producer, which is the job I was doing at the time, will have, 12, 15 courses in production at a time. So, I could have turned this course around in a week or two, but it was mixed in with other work, so it was probably over the course of a few months. But yeah, when I actually kind of sit down and focus on this subject, I probably spent altogether maybe 3 weeks or so planning it and then a week worth of actual production. And then it goes into our pipeline and editing and post-production and compression and delivery and all that stuff. But yeah, if I had to boil it down, it's probably 3 weeks or so worth of work.
Wow, not bad. And I guess since you've been thinking about this a while, you just needed to just organize it in a way that you could actually teach people how to use it, huh?
Yeah, and one of the really rewarding, exciting things about this particular course during that the planning phase was that I could approach the developers of these apps. You're not trying to get on the phone and find a representative from Apple or Adobe. A lot of these people were really receptive and really happy to work with us. And I could tell them what I was planning to do, and they would say, well, did you think about this angle? There's a feature that you might want to talk about, which kind of cracked the whole thing open and really helped. So the developers of all of the video apps you see in the course, I was in communication with. They were really helpful, really supportive.
Wow, and that's interesting because by you developing this workflow, obviously there is an app that does all this. You wish there was, yeah. But it isn't realistic, probably in a way too, right? I mean, a lot of us still do some of these things like storyboards by paper. Sure. We do scripts by paper or a spreadsheet. I've seen that. There's been a lot of ways I've seen people pull video or film production together, but do it online through an iPad. I thought was really nice because it's small, compact, and it's portable. You could take it. You could have a meeting at a coffee shop like Starbucks and talk to your production team about the flow. You can go anywhere. I think it's kind of nice, right?
Absolutely, and there's one thing that you're talking about that I really love, which was something that I said very early in the course. There is no single right way to do this. I'm not in this course saying, here's how you plan a shoot. This is about, here's some apps that I use, and here's the workflow that I use. And I said it several times in the course. You've got to make up your own mind. You've got to choose which way you're going to go here. If you look at a multi-million-dollar production in Hollywood compared to just two people trying to do a YouTube video, the basic concepts are the same, but clearly the workflow is going to be different.
Right.
Hopefully I'm introducing those tools to people.
Yeah, and I think that's an important distinction. I think I see that in a lot of Lynda courses. I mean, some are a little bit more prescriptive than others, but I like your style because I think that you put it out there, and the style says, hey, this kind of works for me. You could use it all, which is great. You could use part of it. You could use elements of it, but you're really here to help people, which is the right message to say, right?
Yeah, I think it would be very naive for me to say, here's the way you got to do it. That would be just a dead end.
No, I think a lot of Lynda courses are like that, right? I mean, I think that the ones that I've seen is and viewed is this, that the nice thing, it's online and you could actually pause it and take notes, and it's a great service. I mean, for that, and obviously this video is one of many of thousands that you guys have produced over the years, right?
I don't even know how many.
So yeah, no, this sounds really good. I mean, any more takeaways from this video course you want to explain to the Nerd Stalker audience?
There was something else you mentioned. You made this point. There is no one single app for this workflow, and you're absolutely right. You've got to pick which apps you want to pull together. There's one app that is fairly core in this entire course called Shot Lister. And I don't know of a lot of apps other than Shot Lister that do that, which is basically the core of building your shot list and building your schedule. But you're right, it does not include storyboarding. So you've got to find some other method of creating storyboards that you ingest into Shot Lister. And if you go on the App Store, there are several apps for slating. The clapboard that you see on screen that marks each scene. I had to choose one, and it's the app that I use, but there are lots of other apps out there. So in some way, the users who watch this course, I hope, will then take the knowledge they get from this course, then go to the App Store, and maybe use some of the same apps that I use, maybe use some different ones, but kind of pull together your own apps and workflow from that.
Yeah, I was really interested in this because I think for a lot of, and I do a lot of small stuff, YouTube videos for product promotions and stuff like that, but, you still need some kind of shot list, you need the storyboard, and I've used mind mapping before. The only thing that I don't like about it is that the conversion into a regular production flow sheet, that transition, you had to re-enter it again. Now I'm sure you still have to do that in a lot of cases, but that was the only thing. From a creative standpoint, it allowed me to move things around, but it didn't transition to what I would call a transitional workflow that was really smooth. You'd have to re-enter it twice, and I think I have a vegan version, like most people, entering things in twice.
Yeah. And maybe what you're using is a great way to visualize and find your focus. And sort of the approach in the course here is I'm making the assumption that you already have a script. So you've already figured out what you want to shoot. Okay, now let's organize it. Let's figure out, okay, all of the scenes we're going to shoot on the beach, let's put those together. Let's organize the actors together. Let's plan the order of the shots, all that stuff.
Nice.
So it's a different step. It's a different place in the process, I think.
Nice. I think people are going to get a lot out of your course. I mean, Nick has made various courses. We got hooked up last time on Nerd Stalker when he did the OSX Mavericks course. So, and that was a very good one as well. So anyway, we'll close off the interview unless you want to say some more things about the course. But where can people get a hold of the course and register?
Sure. Well, maybe one quick thing to mention. Yeah. The apps that are featured in the course are worth acknowledging because your users might want to check those out.
Sure.
I mentioned Shot Lister, great app for building shot lists and building your schedule. Movie Slate is the app that I used for slating scenes. Your iPad becomes the actual clapboard slate. Teleprompt Plus is an app for using your iPad as a teleprompter.
Nice.
And I think one that kind of flies under the radar that's really useful to me is called Easy Release, where if you're shooting and you've got actors, you've got locations, they need to sign a document that says, I have permission to use their face in my video. So signing all of those releases directly on the iPad, emailing them directly to the appropriate people is really useful.
Wow, that is cool. Easy release. That's
Easy
a new one.
release, yeah.
I haven't heard of that one. Thank you. That
Yeah.
that was well worth it. So anyway, yeah, thank you. So yeah, hey, I think you got everyone all excited about seeing this course. So how do they get a hold of that?
Lynda.com is the service and the URL. So, check out lynda.com. You can watch a handful of movies from every course for free to kind of get a feel for it and decide whether you like it. And then, very reasonable monthly prices, and then you just become a member and you get the entire library. So if you're interested in this course, you set up a membership, but then you'll have Excel training, Adobe Premiere training, After Effects, InDesign, Illustrator, just about any software you can think of, as well as photography skills, business skills, just a huge library. It's definitely worth taking a look at.
No, it's great. And again, I thank you for your time again.
Thank you.
And anyway, that was Nick Brazzi of lynda.com, and he has a new video, new learning video that he has just released, which is called Managing a Video Production on an iPad course. And we just talked a lot about, the elements of that course, and as well as the apps that require the workflow that he uses. So anyway, thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Greg Gloria, aka Social Greg, on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network, where we believe in tech, startups, design, and you. So thanks for joining us, everyone, and be careful out there. Hey, thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Greg Gloria, aka Social Greg, on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network, where we believe in tech, startups, design, and you. Thanks again for joining us, and be careful out there.